Married at First Sight, Season 10, Episode 23. But I can categorically tell you, my hand on my heart, I don't think there's anybody that I've disliked as much as Julia-Ruth. I know that Nelly might sound like she's dramatic and stuff, right? But I think that sounds like a plot to me. You believe people before, and you had egg on your face, and depending on like how deep the love was and how deep the trust was, will depend then on how deep the egg on your face is. Rather than try and face the music and stuff, it's just easier just to cut, dip, S out and not deal with none of it. It's almost gaslit her to be like, see, you're the reason why we can't do any of this, because we can't even have a conversation. Nah, it's like, listen, when I say that I'm done, I mean, I'm done.
Hang up, before me done your blood.
You can't done me, I don't know what that means anyway.
Well, try go look up in the dictionary for done, D-U-N, done. I will done your blood on the radio. Hang up the phone and make somebody's call.
What going, people, thems? So this is Married at First Sight, Season 10, Episode 23. Honestly, yeah, I don't tend to get disinvested in characters or people. I say characters because these are actually people, but like people in these kind of shows, like, yeah, you know, the pantomime thing, and you know, with that, you know, hey, he's behind you, like you get involved in the whole, oh, you know, the people that you ship, the people that are like villains of the season or whatever. But I can categorically tell you, my hand on my heart, yeah, that whilst watching these shows, I don't think there's anybody that I've disliked as much as Julia-Ruth. And I warrant, yeah, that she probably has got some great qualities about her, and you know, the whole piece about her family, and you know, her being adopted, and like her friends and stuff. And so there's going to be people that absolutely love the ground that she walks on. The same way that if someone comes to my channel, yeah, the only interpretation they're going to get of me is what they see on my channel, right? So I can't be mad like at whatever their interpretation is. I can't control that. So even when it comes to Julia-Ruth, as much as I'm trying to kind of like remember, it's just a TV show. Like, you know, there's there are potential strings that are being like strung behind the scenes that maybe we don't know about, because again, it's TV. So, you know, to get the most reaction, to get the most you know, amount of people talking about it and whatever, you know, there could very well be producers, like they say in Love Island, that, you know, are whispering in people's ears about, oh, you're gonna stand for that, and like, you know, making things happen in order to create this kind of drama. But there seems to be something in just her spirit, yeah. As again, and I keep caveating this with, I don't know her personally, but just what I'm seeing on the TV, there's something about that woman's spirit that makes me physically repulsed. Like, the kind of disdain that she has for other people, and her contempt for other people, and how she kind of like allows that to manifest itself, is just insane. Like, and in each episode that's happened, particularly over the last kind of 5 or 6 episodes, it's just gotten worse and worse and worse and worse. And I just, wow is all I can say about this, man. Just, it's just crazy that there are genuinely people. And the thing is, we know there are people out there like that because we come across these people in our daily lives still. Do you know what I mean? Like we do, and on all kinds of guises. But to know that you've actually come on a television show, in order to find love as well. Like this is the main thing. You come in here to find love. You come in here to present to the world, like, you know, the kind of person you are, and stuff. And it's like, you know, you think you're so sick. And look, she's pretty. She's a pretty person, but all of that prettiness cannot wrap up all of that bad spirit. You know, when you walk like you do, and all that kind of, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, because your spirit is terrible. Like, it really, really, really awful. And I just, you know, for considering what I thought of Divani and how I thought Divani was treating her initially, it's been such a 180, like such a 180. So I just wanted to caveat that this episode has been a lot of stuff, but there's very few people from these shows that I've watched that I've genuinely like just disliked, because again, I always remember that, well, I don't know them, do you know what I mean? Like, so, but I don't, I thought Polly was bad from last year. Like, she's awful. She's just awful. Anyway, so it's retreat day number 2. Yeah, so they're all kind of recounting about what's gone on from the night before, and it looks like that everyone's had a bit of a heavy night. Leisha's trying to get a coffee in. April's in bed with the husky tones again, just talking about how great the night was, and maybe a little bit too great. And what's funny, I didn't mention it in my last one, but obviously April, when she got asked about the question about who would you swap your husband with, she again said Ashley. So we noticed that obviously Ashley said her as well, and there's obviously been a bit of that back and forth in between. And I failed to mention it in the last one that I wonder whether, in the same way that we're now going down Julia-Ruth is now interested in Stephen arc, are we now about to go down a April and Ashley arc as well? And it's funny that Grace ended up mentioning it later on, but yeah, so they're getting ready. She's still kind of struggling with Leo. Like, I mean, I do feel bad for him. I know that like I've given him a bit of a hard time in my reactions, yeah. But I do feel bad for him because I don't know whether it's a case that he doesn't know or whether he's just choosing to remain oblivious. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure about that. But either way, yeah, like she's not happy. And then having seen the conversation that happens at the dinner party, it's a shame. So I think it goes to probably Maeve, I think, talking to Kia and David, and you know, she's talking a little bit about how Ashley's explained what Joe had said about not feeling anything for her or something thereabouts. And she's kind of saying that it's not that she's angry at Ashley, but she's just saying that it should have come from Joe. And I remember thinking at the time though that like, and again, she's entitled to feel how she feels because I think she's right that she shouldn't have to hear that. But obviously, from Ashley's perspective, he is caught between a rock and a hard place because this is my friend. I say friend, I've known you for a few weeks, but whatever. Like, this is my friend. You confided something in me, and this is someone I'm actively having to physically console. I'm lying to my wife about it. Like, you know, it's a really conflicting situation. So I was a bit like, oh, cut the guy a little bit of slack. But, you know, at that moment, it's all about, you know, how she's feeling. And I think she's right to express that. Leah and Lee, they're good. Again, being quite tactile and stuff. And yeah, they just seem like they're coasting in a good place. I know that Bailey and Rebecca are staying with Nelly and Stephen. And that Rebecca and Nelly are kind of dissecting the night before and saying basically that Julia-Ruth's apology was not genuine. They didn't get down to the nitty-gritty of it because it just wasn't a genuine apology. I think what we're seeing from Nelly is that she still isn't over it because obviously it's triggering her that someone like that could do what Julia-Ruth was kind of plotting to do. Like, she's got it in her head that Julia-Ruth was plotting to do that. Rebecca puts it a bit more like, it's not necessarily that she's plotting, but she has made the decision that I like Stephen, and he's definitely more my type. So I think the best thing I can do is stay here until the date that we can do the wife swap thing, and then we can see whether or not we've got a connection. Which to me, I know that Nelly might sound like she's dramatic and stuff, right? But I think that sounds like a plot to me. Do you know what I mean? Like if you're putting some things in place, or you got some things in place, potentially like some kind of like villainous, non-virtuous move, to me that is a plot. Yeah, and we're in the season. Do you know what I mean? Guy Fawkes soon come. So, you know, seems kind of plotty to me. Everyone's basically all good. Everyone's all fine. They're all excited about going to the dinner party. They all start like entering the dinner party and stuff. I can't remember the orders, but at one point or another, April is talking to Rebecca and Bailey, and I think I've underestimated how much I like Rebecca because Rebecca is very switched on, and the questions she was asking April I thought were brilliant. Like, you know, are you excited about him? Do you miss him when he's not there? You know, do you are you buzzing for him? Have you got an emotional attachment to him? And with all the pauses, because bearing in mind that they're also asking Leo. I can't remember who's asking him now. I don't know if Rebecca's there, but he's trying to. Who was it? Abigail. I can't remember who he was talking to, but they're asking him, you know, how things going and stuff, and he's like, yeah, you know, this has been a great week for us to kind of, you know, spend some time together, and you know, just you know, she's been really supportive and all that kind of stuff. So he's giving this really great picture, which the experts are like, oh, be interested to know what April's saying. But then obviously talking to Rebecca, she's like, yeah, no, not so much for me now. The emotional connection now. You know, they slept together a few times, but she was intoxicated. Now, even that, just for me, hearing that third hand. So your wife's over there talking about how she slept with you, but she was battered. Yeah. She was absolutely off her box. Like, what would that do for your self-esteem? Because I know for me personally, I want to curl up and die. Like, so the only way in which you know could get in the groove, yeah, was to shut back a whole liter bottle of tequila, yeah, and be like, all right, I'm saying I'm ready for you. Like, that is just not what you want to hear. So that's already hurtful. But then to know that actually that she realized that when she wasn't mash up, that she's like, it just wasn't for me. Like, that is awful. And whilst I'm not blaming her for this, by the way. I'm not saying that she's wrong. If that's how you feel, that's how you feel. But I think it needs to be even more explicit where she's at, because if he's still thinking that, yeah, we're building, it's slow, you know, I don't mind us having these conversations about who you would choose for another partner and stuff, because, you know, the game's the game. But if he doesn't know that you're literally lacking that emotion, and I know she has said, which I keep saying as well, that she has said, I need you to talk to me, I need you to bring something. Yeah, I know she said all that, but I don't think he knows how detrimental it really has been. I think that needs to be made clear. Maybe she'll make it clear at the commitment ceremony later. But I did feel for him in that moment. Yeah, Leisha and Reese are good. You know, she's still saying how he's like a closed book and stuff, and how she's so open, and then she kind of sees that as a bit of a rejection, which the experts are like, there's still clearly a pacing issue here. And Charlene's saying that maybe, rather than it being like a case of him warming up, that this is just the way he is, and maybe that's something that she just needs to accept. It's funny because I didn't even really give them that much time initially. I was just like, whatever, he doesn't like her, it's not going to go anywhere. And obviously they seem like they've progressed, but I still don't see it lasting. I don't know. I can't foresee in like 10 years time we're going to be hearing about their babies, and I just can't see it, because if you're still having the same said argument, what I've learned in my many years, yeah, is that the same thing that made you go, well, no, yeah, it's probably going to be the same thing that makes you go, that's the reason we broke up. So I don't know. I don't know. Everyone's kind of talking about julia-ruth and Divani before they come in. So when Nelly and Stephen come in, you know, the girls again have got her back, and it's been like, yeah, you know, she's saying she's not going to hug her if she sees her and stuff. But then Stephen has a conversation with one of the guys, I can't remember with who, and he's basically saying that, like, you know, Nelly's problem is that she keeps comparing herself to Julia-Ruth, because she sees Julia-Ruth as a 10 out of 10. And he's like, but the thing is, Nelly, that, like, you are a 10 out of 10. Like, so you shouldn't be comparing yourself to her. And what the experts are saying is that, like, it's all well and good for him to be saying that, but it's how he's acting on it. And there's such a perfect example of that later on, like, which is just like, I don't know, man. I feel like I take about 1,000,000 steps backwards with Steven. I have, like, you know, some incremental steps forward. I'm like, okay, well, maybe, and then I get a gargantuan level of steps back again, because I'm like, nah, man, like, that was an opportune moment for you to go boom, and you just didn't take that. Like, and look, I'm not even just going to say this is all on him totally. Like, you know, I think to be balanced and to be fair, and I have said this previously, that I don't know whether the demands of what Nelly needs is something that every person could put up with. Like, again, I've been cheated on, do you know what I mean? Like, and when you have been, it does make those defenses so much harder to break down, because you just don't believe people. You don't believe them. Doesn't matter. Like, I don't believe, because you believe people before, and you had egg on your face, and depending on, like, how deep the love was and how deep the trust was, will depend then on how deep the egg on your face is. Do you know what I mean? Your friends, your family, your colleagues, but also just yourself in the mirror. Like, it's a really hard thing to reconcile with. So to know that she's had 3 versions of that, where 3 times you've put your trust in someone and 3 times they've stepped out on you, that is, you know, my heart genuinely goes out to her. It really does, because you can see her spiraling in real time, you know, and almost dealing with that mean girl in real time. But in the same vein, though, it's so self-sabotaging, because the person that you're with is like, whoa, Nelly. No pun intended. Like, I don't know if I can deal with all of that. Do you know what I mean? Like, because that's a lot. That's a lot of stuff to deal with. So I kind of feel as though she's helping push him away, because it's almost like whatever he does is never going to be enough to assuage her paranoid thoughts. But at the same time, how paranoid are they? Because I'm hearing, one of my friends told me, I don't know if this is true, but he's mentioned to me that he's been seeing online that apparently there was something between Nelly and between Stephen and julia-ruth during the experiment. So I don't know if that's about to come out. I don't know if it's a substantiated thing. It's just what I'm hearing, because I haven't read anyone's comments. I haven't looked online to see what people, because usually I would do. I'd be like, on TikTok, and I just haven't, because I don't know. This is just my opinion. So hearing that, I was completely floored, because again, you're acting like you're by Nelly's side. You're acting like she's got nothing to worry about, and yet now there's this alleged kiss that happened between you and Julia-Ruth. Which kind of explains a little bit more about something that happens later on in the dinner party. But anyway, so Divani comes in, and he's again met graciously by everybody. They're there for him. The man them like picking him up and being like, "Yo, respect to you, man." And even the experts are like, this will probably be really good to give him the confidence he needs in order to speak to Julia-Ruth and stuff, and realize that he does deserve better. Again, if I'm honest, I kind of thought that he would already have gone. I wasn't expecting him to still be at the retreat, because when he said the marriage was over, I thought he was S-ing out. That's it. See ya. But he didn't do that. And in one way, I'm glad he didn't, because I'm just like, you've already come on the retreat, and these are your friends as well, and this is your experience to tell. And actually, yeah, fair enough. But then the other hand of me, I'm just like, well, if the marriage is done, I'm going to watch all you guys be all happy and coupled up or whatever. I don't really have anything to hear from Julia-Ruth. I think, he's very good at realizing that he is head over heels for her. And I think that does blind you to someone's treatment and stuff. So, I respect him for staying, but I thought he would have gone. And then I think before Julia-Ruth comes in, Maeve comes in. So, before Maeve comes into the dinner party, there's a whole thing that happens between her and Joe. So me and my bestie, we've been in like some heated discussions, like always joking, obviously, but like he's been very much Team Maeve, and whilst I haven't been Team Joe, I have been Team Joe in certain areas, right? So just to explain, before what happened today, my theory has always been that I think that Maeve has in some ways contributed to the downfall of this relationship, because of the way that she is. Like, so for me, for example, I don't deal well with people that like to rear up the mouth and the whole of arguing, and we're gonna do that cat slater thing in the street. Like, absolutely not. All and sundry can hear our business. Not a chance. Sorry. Like, if we can't sit down and have a conversation. And I get that people are allowed to get angry, that's fine. But then in that instance, I would expect someone to go, do you know what? I'm feeling a little bit flustered right now, and nothing good's going to come out my mouth whilst I'm feeling like this. So the best thing that I can do is I'm going to go and take a little walk here, and I'm going to calm myself down, and then when I'm not as we can have a conversation. That I can deal with, do you know what I mean? Like, but don't be sitting down there effing and jeffing at me and calling me out my name and expecting that anything after what you said there I'm listening to. I'm not. And I feel as though that, like, as the series has gone on, like, we've seen examples of where Maeve has been that way. So even from the wedding, as I said, like, she's got her friends talking about, like, she's got this Jekyll and Hyde personality when she gets drunk. She was quite brash at the wedding as well. So, from that, I was like, okay. Then on the honeymoon, when she kicked off and she was tying up her hair, and she had the cocktail in her hand, and he was trying to ask why she doesn't like being vulnerable, and she's like, I just don't. Okay, I just don't. And rather than explain the reason why, she went up on one and was like, you're doing my head in. And it's like, your husband's trying to understand you, and actually he's trying to say to you that, like, it's absolutely fine for you to be vulnerable with me. Like, I don't understand. And then because I'm digging to find out, well, what is even this reaction about? Like, you've kicked off and effed and blind and whatever, and then gone off till the next day, and there was something else as well. And then, so when that happened, I was like, this is doomed. Like, this is never going to go anywhere. And then it was almost like that was a breakthrough. And then from that point, like, up until, as I said, they told each other they loved each other, it was like, wow, that was a turnaround that I wasn't expecting to see. So I was like, cool. They found a way in which to talk. He's softening her, and she's livening him up a little bit. But they found a kind of cozy street, only to find out that really and truly they're not even talking about the problems. They're just skirting past them like they don't exist. So of course, then that's the reason why everything's all hunky dory, because you're not actually talking about anything. And then when you do talk about stuff, it just flares up again. So then because if you remember, before he left, right, he attempted to have a conversation with her, and that was when his granddad passed away, and then she ended up storming out, like being like, I gotta go, and bearing in mind this is the same week that he found out his granddad passed away. I was like, there should be no arguments for that week. I'm sorry, whatever your problem is not bigger than what's going on for him right now. And then obviously he left, and then when he came back, and they were at the cafe, and again, like having this conversation, and then she's rearing up in that conversation, like, I'd be mortified if I'm sitting down there in some nice Office Park cafe, ordering a Victoria sponge slice, had a nice little orange juice waiting for you, being like, okay, we're gonna have a nice little conversation, a nice little, neutral setting, because I don't want to set nothing off. I just want to have a nice conversation with you. And the next thing I know, literally 7 minutes in, you are rearing up blue murder in people's shop. No, I'm gone again. Sorry, I'm not doing it. At that point, I was very much like, I feel as though that Maeve, and again, I'm just basing this on the edit. There might be lots of things I'm not aware of. I was basing on the edit. I'm like, I think Maeve is contributing somewhat to this problem. However, I do think that post Granddad's funeral, I think it sits firmly in Joe's camp, and I think in today's episode was a perfect example of that. So I've said this to my friend. I'm like, listen, I feel you were right in some regards, yeah. I feel in other instances, I still stand by what I said. But today, I think Joe really showed himself up badly. I think it was so awful. So he's come back. She's getting ready to go to this dinner party. He's come back, and he's like, "Oh, I've come back with the best of intentions. I'm kind of thinking that maybe we can make it work. I'm really, really hopeful." But he's nervous though, which again, given the history that they've had, and how she's going to respond to stuff or whatever, I can understand him being a bit anxious. So he's come through the door, and she can't even really look at him, and he's like, "You all right?" And she's like, "Are you joking?" I cannot do a Scouser accent, so that'll be the last time that I will attempt. So he's just like, "You're all right? Like, what's going on?" Like, and she's just like, "I just can't. I just can't. Are you actually for real?" And he's just like, "What? Basically, what is this? This is not. I'm kind of surprised. Like, this is not the response I was expecting." And she's like, "What response were you genuinely expecting to get then?" And he's like, "Well, like I've come in to see how you are. Like maybe a hello. Like you're not even saying anything." And she's like, "I don't even know what to say to you. I don't even know what to say to you. You come through this door. You ain't spoken to me for over a week. Do you know what I mean? I've been crying about you for the last week." And she's just like, what do you mean? And he's just like, "I just see, this is what I'm saying. Kind of a conversation. I'm trying to have a conversation with you." And she's like, "What did you say to Ashley?" And he's like, I can't remember word for word, like, but like along the lines of, "Oh, we've got problems and stuff." He asked you, yeah, whether you had feelings for me or not, and you couldn't answer. You said nothing. And he's like, "I said that, I wasn't sure about my feelings were because I don't know. Like, you tell us on the couch one day that you love me, yeah, in front of everybody, that you love us and this and the other, and then in the other breath you're telling someone else that you don't know." And he's like, "Well, that's how I felt." It's just like, when I said that I loved you, like I wasn't saying that like I was like, in love. It was that deep. I'm just saying that like I love you. It's like, but if you're asking me if I'm in love with you, then if we're in love with each other, then probably not. Which we're not, are we? Do you know what I mean? Like with all this stuff and whatever. And it basically escalates. She, to her credit though, she doesn't rear off her mouth, and she doesn't. I mean, yeah, she's a bit loud, but not to the point of being as like, I feel that she was like verbally abusing him, anything like that. But it gets to the point where he's just saying, "Well, look, this is the point. This is the whole point of what I'm saying, wasn't it? Because obviously we're not going to work, are we? That's the whole point of this, So we may as well just call it a day, right? The marriage ain't going to go no further, like." And she's like, "Well, obviously not." Like, obviously not, is it? It's not gonna go any further. If this is how you're gonna be, like, it's like, yeah, you know what? Like, I don't even care. Like, you know, dragging off the microphone, whatever. I seriously don't care. And she's like, what? You don't care? He's like, nah, I don't care. I don't care. I'm done with this. It's all done. See you later. So he then exits and he's cussing off. You know, the camera's been like, f this. Like, I ain't voting now. I'm done for that, man. So when she comes into the dinner party now, she's obviously beside herself, crying. They're all just like trying to console her. She recounts what's happened and stuff. So Bailey now takes it upon himself, which I thought in one hand was quite valiant, in another hand I thought was quite heads up. But look, when we're not all in it, so the connections that they might feel to one another might run deeper than what we know of them. Do you know what I mean? Like, so, and maybe I would be that kind of heads up, trying to heal something, you know, that might be broken but might still be repairable with just a helpful hand or a helpful something, you know. So he then goes to try and find Joe, because he's like, look, he must be around here somewhere. So he does find Joe. Joe's in the middle of recording, I guess, his exit speech to the camera, and he's trying to get his point of view across, because the other lads are like, well, you know, we're only getting Maeve's point of view here, and we don't really know what Joe's is, because we know that Joe's a good guy. And obviously what's coming across here, you know, she's trembling, she's shaking, she's distraught. So, you know, he's coming across like he's a emotional Phil Mitchell. Do you know what I mean? Like, what's going on here? So he's trying to get Joe's side of the story. So he explains what Maeve has said. And he's like, well, you know, he's like, yeah. He's like it's done. He's like, there's nothing more to say. Like, you know, I came here with the intention of trying to fix things. He's like, but obviously that's just not going to happen. And he's like, you know, do you not think you should come in and, you know, he's like, what? Come and explain to the group. He's like, defending myself. I was like, nah. He's like, listen, when I say that I'm done, I mean, I'm done.
Hang up, before me done your blood clot.
You can't done me. I don't know what that means anyway.
Well, try go look up in the dictionary for done. D-U-N, done. I will done your blood clot on the radio. Hang up the pussy clot phone and make somebody's blood clot call.
This is D-U-N, done off the blood. Yo, I'm done. He's all right, mate. He's like, okay, well, cool. So I sends him on his way, and he's like, can you believe that? Can you believe that? He's like, this, man. Man gets in the taxi, cocks up his foot in the car, shuts the door, me gone. So he's off skis. Marriage is done. And I kind of thought he was going to say something like, and I never want to see her again. That's the kind of vibe I was getting about how done he was. Just like, I'm so over this. And I said to my friend, I was like, in the one hand, yeah, I can totally understand him kind of coming to be accountable for his lack of communication, like how he's kind of left Maeve feeling. And there's going to be people within that group that would want answers as well, not just Maeve. And I think what he's done is he's gone in there with the intention of making things work, but knowing realistically it probably wasn't, because he knows he's not even responded to me. He's not even sent her a text message. Like, how do you not send a text message to someone that you genuinely want to have something with? I get it's a funeral, yeah, but like I said in one of my other videos, like, not everyone's close to their family members. So, you know, some people might assume that actually, oh, it's a one-day thing. Like, I don't know unless you communicate that to me. Like, I'm close to my family, so I'm going to presume that you're close to your family. So I will give you the grace to say that I'm not going to hound you, you know, the day before, the night of, the morning of, the day after. Like, I'm not going to do that. But there's going to be a genuine part of me that wants to talk to you. Not just a case of, like, you owe me to be here. But actually, I want to see if you're okay. Because I love you. We apparently love each other. So if we love each other, how come you don't want to talk to me? How come you don't want to message me? Find if I'm all right? Like, you know, just... there should be something, whatever that looks like, but there wasn't any of that. So knowing he's not done that, I feel that he knew already that it wasn't going to go nowhere. He probably knows already that he's villain number one. The fact that Ashley's also tried to contact him and had no response, clearly. So he knows there's probably something that's gone on there. So I think he knew, like, that rather than try and face the music and stuff, that it's just easier just to cut, dip, out and not deal with none of it. And that's what I think happened there. And then in the mode of that, he's almost gaslit her to be like, you know, see, you're the reason why we can't do any of this, because we can't even have a conversation. But that conversation could never have come without looking at what he did to get there. Do you know what I mean? Like that kind of... what was your contribution? And the fact that he was like, this is not even that deep. You're not even recognizing, yeah, the hurt that you've caused her, the things you've brought back up for her by being so absent without any kind of information, limbo, and then hearing from Ashley that you don't even, it's just awful. And even if they didn't end up going to the dinner party, if he'd at least stayed in a different room and been like, we're going to try again tomorrow, and at least could have given her some proper closure, like, I think that would have been great. But, and I did say to my friend, and on the other hand, I have to almost respect the fact that if someone's decided that they're fully done, as cold as it might be, yeah, maybe that's the best thing. Because ultimately, raking the coals over the situation is going to provide what? Like, I've been that person that needs that closure. But you know what? The disrespect is the closure. The sitting around and analysing it and like having that person be like, oh, let me realise all these things that I've done to you. Let me think about all the things. Let me take accountability and sit here and cry my guilty tears. Like, that helps me not at all. Because you've already done it. I've already shed my tears. I've already felt bad about myself. I've already done all those kind of things. So you sitting down here weeping, which you may not even do, because what you might do is you might come through the door and act like freaking John Wayne. Like, it's been like, what, you're not going to give me some... What did my friend say? It was like, what was he expecting? Some kind of airport greeting with the car being like, Joe, like, what are you expecting here? You abandoned me for a week and a half. I ain't said nothing. I've just found out you don't love me, and you want me just to thrust myself open to you. So actually, I don't need you to sit down here and come in the room and have the violins out for how bad things have been for you. The disrespect is the closure. So in a way, I kind of feel he's done her a favor. I do. I really do. So anyway, Bailey comes back after having that conversation and then relays that back to Maeve. And Maeve's just like, this is just terrible, and she, can't stop crying. And then Julia-Ruth comes in like a bad bee, in this green dress. And she's working the room. Hey, darling. Hey, darling. Hey, Devani. Oh, we're both wearing green. That's absolutely crazy. And it's just all of it's all of those things. As awful as Joe has been to Maeve and just being absent and gaslightery in that way, the things that Julia-Ruth has put Devani through during this process, I just think it needs to be studied. The psychological manipulation that she's put that man through, and then she's got the gall to walk into that room like she is Beyonce. Like I'm walking through, and she's got that kind of performer walk. You know what I mean? Like, just everything about it is just so like, who are you? Like, actually, comes in, hugs Nelly, whatever, and starts talking to Leah. Devani then, because the guy's like, look, because Devani looks sullen. You can see already that his whole energy is shifted from the mere fact that her and the afros come through the room. So they're like, listen, you need to go and talk to her. Go and talk to her now. Get it off your chest. Just talk to her now. He talks to her. And there's this whole thing about this blanket. Even that, I'm guessing it must have been cold out there. Like, it looked like it was some kind of atrium they were in. So he's got this blanket wrapped around him where he could, and then she's like, I would appreciate some blanket. He's like, oh, sorry, yeah, let me and he's like, well, at first he's like, oh, do you wanna come in? Do you wanna come in the blanket? And he's like, no, I want the blanket. So, it lies along their legs and stuff, and then they get talking. Well, she starts talking because he's like, how are you doing, Julia-Ruth? And she's like, then she starts talking about the very minuscule amount of things of which she can take accountability for. She starts talking about that, but then she goes very quickly into why she's so disappointed in Devani's actions. Yeah. And the fact that he was quite attentive before, the hand holding, all the stuff he was doing behind closed doors, and then all that stopped because maybe the group got into his head or whatever. So the fact that you're not being as attentive towards me now, and what brought me really is the fact that you packed your bags and left without so much of an explanation, and she's talking for a while. Because she keeps saying that, like, she can't get a word in edgeways as people keep jumping in and she can't. But I'm just like, I've heard you talk. I've heard you talk a lot. I've heard you talk a lot at the commitment ceremony. I've heard you talk a lot on the in between your friends. You've obviously spoken a lot when it comes to people them about how you can't stand Divine, how you ain't your type. So I'm wondering, at what point is it where that Julia-Ruth ain't getting the time to speak? And then it gets to the point where Divine decides to like speak up for himself, to be like, listen, it's all about you. It is all about you. And he's like, no, actually, it's all about you. And there's this whole, I'd say a good 90 seconds of TV time where they're literally just talking over each other because he's trying to get his point across, she's trying to get her point across, and she's not letting him speak. He's still trying to just get his point across, and it eventually ends with her telling him that, like, you know, he's acting like some child because he's like, don't talk to me like I'm some kind of pitney, and she's like, well, stop acting like one. Then, you know, you're a grown man. No one told you to stay here. You could have left any time. And it results in her just saying, well, look, anyway, I'm over this. I'm so done with this. You know, we are divorced now. See you later. So she gets up and she's off, and he just sat there just like, and the experts are like, you see, so again on her terms, she's not apologized. Do you know what I mean? That was an unequivocal not apology. Like, she has then monopolized the conversation yet again, and then she's resulted in saying that, like, basically, I'm the one that's calling an end to this relationship. I'm the one that's now saying that we're divorced. So she's reclaiming that power yet again. So they rejoin the party. Like, he's sat in I'm sorry, I couldn't do it. I would have literally been like, you need to remove me. I do not want to sit next to this piece of girl at all. Like, I've had so much time with this person that has just upset my spirit. No more. The least I can do is enjoy my last meal. Yeah, I don't want to smell your spritz. I don't want to hear your talk. I just want to eat my food with the people that I like and the ones in and around you. Please do not sit me next to this heathen. So they sit next to each other anyway. And you know the producers are bad mind because they put Stephen and Nelly in front of Divani and Julia-Ruth. Like, you could have put them at any other parts, yeah, but you put them right there. So you want the knives out, literally. There's no honesty box, but we have a ting 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 from Maeve. Someone's put like a crown on her head, which is really awesome. You know, she basically thanks everyone for, like, I'm so support, like, thanks for all the support that you've shown me. Like, obviously it's a crap situation I'm in, but you know, I couldn't have done it without all of you, and I love yous, and I don't really talk too much, so that's all I'm gonna say. And it was proper. I did get a bit emotional for him, man, because like I said, I'm not sat here when it's like, this is all your fault. You brought this on yourself. Like, I'm not saying any of that. You know, I think any one of us will go on a show like this and see traits which are probably somewhat toxic, do you know what I mean, and things that don't help us, like in fostering relationships, especially when we've been hurt. And she may very well have been so aware of that and was trying to do things about it. But even with that, though, I think telling someone that you love them, and then literally within a week's time having such a U-turn on that, to the point where you're physically absent, and then quite gaslightery in terms of like what their response to that should be, like, which I think is a normal response, is awful, and I really felt for her in those moments. So yeah, that was a shame. Grace and Ashley are good. Like, you know, like she was complimenting his bicepy arms, his big biceps earlier in the episode, and then like throughout the dinner, like, they're good. Like, she there's a moment where he's just like, I just feel really close to you, Grace, right now in this moment and stuff, and you know, it's kind of hindered a little bit because he kind of makes a joke about it because, oh, maybe it's the rosé, but you know, it was so nice for him to be that vulnerable and say that. And like I said earlier, Grace, before April arrives, she makes the comment that April keeps making comments about Ashley, and she's like, I just feel it's rude now. She's like, you know, I don't know what is happening. I don't know what is happening, but you keep talking about Ashley. And you know, the experts, like, you can see that it is bothering them. So yeah, I'm still very much like, the fact that you've now bothered Grace, because I did like April. Even as she's talking to Leo about it is very like matter of fact. Like, well, of course, I said Ashley. I've said him the whole time. So you know, I mean it, yeah. You know, when I say the same name each and every time, no, say that I mean him. You know, with the big arms, the funny one that messed me. Him. He's the one I keep saying because I mean it. To me, that's a bit muggy. Like, I get it, and I know you've got to be honest and be truthful and stuff, and it's better that you do that than you don't. But you know, if you said it already, like Grace said, maybe pick someone else, maybe mix it up a little bit, like, you know what I mean? But you're making it quite clear that she don't want. Do you know what I mean? Like, what? So anyway, so they're all good. Kieran David all good as well. Loving around the table. Abigail and John. And then the experts said that this is literally like just the perfect match, isn't it? Like, they're just so Like, they're just good. I know that Nelly is kind of checking in on Divani to make sure he's okay and stuff. And he's like, yeah, it's fine. I'm all good. And I can't remember whether there's any more dialogue between them before Julia Ruth's speech. Because Julia Ruth is just like, the gloves are off now. When she's getting ready in the VT earlier, she's like, listen, I got my green dress on, my afro's all out, I'm going to call makeup arcs in my eyes on, like, I'm good to go. And she's like, the gloves are off. So she's come in there knowing full well that she ain't taking nothing from no one. So she then gets up and starts with the... I would just like to say that I mean, the speech didn't make no sense. She was like, oh, you know, can we toast to things being iconic, and basically me being an icon, and my amazing ex-husband, and it had... It wasn't like she was saying, this experience has been incredible. Like, you know, it's unfortunate that me and Divani have not worked out. But I've made some incredible friends and some incredible people here that I will know for the rest of my life. You know, I'm sorry to anyone that I've offended. I'm sorry to anyone that I've hurt. You know, that was never my intention. And maybe there's some things that I need to go away and learn. But, you know, we're all only human. And, you know, we all need grace. Do you know what I mean? Like, so let's just have as great a night as we can. If we don't get on, we haven't got to get on. Do you know what I mean? Like, but let's leave it at that. That could somewhat have made sense as to the fact you're gonna bring your whole self up and ring ting ting your glass for everyone's attention to come and say a whole bunch of nothing, which is just rating. Because even when she sat down like she was in Bridesmaids. I was like, what am I watching? What am I actually watching here? What is going? So this is what I'm saying. I don't know, because I don't know anyone that would be that audacious. Because it's not even necessarily about like not being yourself. It's about being so hideously arrogant that like you think you've got the right to hold court, right? Having hurt the person that sat directly next to you, yeah, having hurt the person opposite you with your actions and your words, whether or not you think you came for his man, for her man or not, yeah, she's telling you, you have hurt me, you were a friend of mine, and I feel betrayed by what you did, because they were friends, they got on really well together. Like, you know, there's not someone that you never spoke to. Do you know what I mean? This is someone that thought that you held them in a good regard and in a high respect, someone that felt that you understood the journey that they'd been on. Do you know what I mean? Like, and you've just doo-dooed all over it because you're like, I want to get a piece of your high tall Aggie man. Do you know what I mean? Like, so the lack of any kind of awareness is just shocking. So it descends even further. Because Nelly's just like, because she's like, oh, this is just a game. And even the experts are like, see, everyone's now seeing who she is, because like they're putting in the work, yeah, trying to find someone, trying to build a life with somebody. This is what the experiment's about. And yet here you are thinking it's a game. Now, I suppose in like actual scientific circles and stuff, when you're looking at an experiment, like you've got those constants and stuff, but I guess you do need some things that are going to be the randomized, unexpected thing, and what does that bring to the experiment? Like, what dynamic does that bring? So in that sense, as an experiment, I suppose, yeah, okay, like having someone like that can only be of interest to see, well, what does that do to the group dynamic? What does that do in terms of meeting someone that's also like it's all part of, we study it, we write about it, we acknowledge it, we make a conclusion on the back of it, but at the same time though, you're dealing with people, and I don't know if someone said we're going to pay you to be that, well, I could comfortably do that, because in this day and age of this type of social media, like, as I said, like I've never had this much disdain for someone that I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Like, not that I would ever approach them or send them any messages or any kind of abuse or anything like that. That's not me. But not everyone is as rational as I am. So, you know, the fact that you would enter a public like forum like this and present yourself in that kind of way, I just don't understand why anybody would do that. I just don't get it. I just don't get it at all. So they're going back and forth, like, you know, I think Nelly is trying to not be antagonized by her, but she is antagonized by her, because again, she's so threatened by her. And Julia-Ruth knows that she's threatened by her, so she keeps kind of goading her and like all the people around the table just want to tell Nelly just to chill out, like it's cool, like just you're not gonna get anything from this, like allow it. And they're trying to get Julia-Ruth to kind of admit that what she's done to Divani, and she's like, I can't even get my words out, even though she had a good whole period of waffle after that, which Bailey did call out. And at one point, Nelly says to Divani, you're better than this. Do you know what I mean? Like you got, because he's like, I've got my integrity intact and stuff. And she's like, you will always have that. Do you know what I mean? Because you don't deserve that. And then in the longest, coldest, weirdest bit of anything I've seen in a while, Julia-Ruth like basically looks over at Nelly, and she's just looking at her. I've never seen anything. I mean, to me, it felt like she didn't blink. It felt like she didn't blink. It's like the time stood still, like, and it was like, what the doom bum 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 bum. Like that. It just felt evil. It felt really uncomfortable, and I was like, is she gonna do something to her? Is she gonna like that? The look. It was utter. Oh man! And even experts are like, this is just a show of some type of intimidation. It's degrading. Like it's all those things, all those different things. And it was weird for me, yeah. Like, and actually, like, I mean, I'm a fan of anybody. I mean, I don't really care, like, what color you are, or whatever. But whenever I do see, like, black girls on shows like this, because of the kind of shows I've seen on Love Island, where they get treated so badly in terms of like, they don't get picked by people, and there's it feels as though there's so much conformity to try and like fit in with these kind of beauty standards, westernized beauty standards and stuff. Like, I end up feeling like I cheer for them even harder. Do you know what I mean? Like, because that could be my sister, that could be my cousin. Do you know what I mean? Like, and so with Julia-Ruth, again, the only black couple on there, like, there is part of me that's like, I just want to go on, girl. But you're so far off the path of me being able to do any of that, because you just keep doing all these things that I just find abhorrent, absolutely abhorrent. So anyway, that results in Julia-Ruth cutting off Bailey, telling him to pick his pum off the floor because he's boring, and this and the other, and he's just like, mate, I ain't boring. I think he did call it a B word, actually. I did hear that somewhere, or someone did. And he's like, you're just an evil person. You're an evil person. You can't even admit the fact that you manipulated Divani. Ashley's getting involved, and it's like, look, I want to get to the punchline. You keep saying that we don't let you talk, but all I keep hearing is bare words. Get to the point. Get to your point then, quicker. And bearing in mind that Julia-Ruth and Nelly have been going back and forth, and Stephen A said that great word. He ain't said not a thing. When they're all coming for Julia-Ruth now, because of some of the other girls and all whatever, here's Stephen now. Listen, yeah, if this don't bother you, mind your own effing business. That's what you need to do. Mind your own business. If it don't directly involve you, mind your business. And then he's like, are you for real? are you for real? And even experts are like, that would have been his perfect opportunity to back up Nelly. And we're like, this is my woman, you see me? I'm my girl, this is my 10 out of 10, right? And he didn't do any of that. He said, field mouse would have made more noise. And yet people are getting at Julia-Ruth, and all of a sudden he needs to tell people to butt out and leave people alone. Nah. You ain't worth a damn, sir. You ain't worth a damn. Ain't worth a damn. That's not how you would treat someone that you allegedly is your 10 out of 10. Again, this is just my opinion. Do you know what I mean? It's just my opinion. But Nelly, this man can't give you what he needs. He cannot give you this. This man cannot give you what you need. He can't. I'm not seeing that head over heels. Someone can say all the right things, yeah, but your actions will betray you. And I know he was holding her hand apparently and stuff while she was going, but I didn't see him trying to calm Nelly down. I didn't see him trying to be like, babe, come on, let me just take you away for a moment. Let's go. She's not important. I didn't see none of that. So, but I know the next episode, which is tonight's episode now, they go to their commitment ceremony, and it looks as though that again, Joe and Abigail going from strength to strength, Leisha and Reese going from strength to strength, which is nice to see. And oh yeah, Leah and Leah, they're not done it. They're not done the big it yet, but they're getting there. So I think they're all good. But then we start to see that like Ashley and Grace, she's just like, it's been like one of the worst weeks. We bring out the worst in each other. So I'm just like, what's happened now? Like it's just been back and forth and that gets tiring regardless of how good you could be. It just gets tired. Like no one has the patience for that, so I'm worried for them. I'm worried this might be the last week, and that's a shame, man, because I really did ship them hard. Definitely more so than like April and Ashley. But I guess we'll see. And then obviously Julia-Ruth and Divani also come to the last commitment ceremony as well. So it'd be interesting to see. Again, she sounds like she's still in Boadicea mode, and got all the audacity that she had like at the dinner. So I guess we'll see. I like the fact that Divani was, he said, I've definitely done things wrong in this relationship as well. Because he did lie and kind of make out that the honeymoon was like amazing and stuff, and wasn't really as clear as to what it could have been. But I think thinking about the things that Divani's done wrong in relation to this, it's night and day. It's just not the same. It's not great, no. Arguing with someone and kind of getting upset with them and stuff. Again, not wrong, but even when he did those things, I mean, I kind of laughed after the song really because I thought the song was dry. But the fact that he still did that and showed his vulnerability to be like, I've made a whole song for you because of the way I've treated you and I'm sorry. Again, no, they did have more heated disagreements and stuff, and he was quite quick to F and blind too. So, I don't know. I still feel as though that Julia-Ruth has been awful. I think she has, and I think someone that lies on that scale and is quite willing to allow someone else to look ridiculous on that kind of scale, whilst at the same time bad mouthing them to everybody that would listen, because that's what they've all said that you did. I think she's terrible, and for me, the icing on the cake. I mean, all of that, the Stephen, everything else, but the ting 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 at the table and making this completely irrelevant, insipid speech, like it's just the utter doo-doo icing on a completely foul, nasty tasting cake. So yeah, man, let's see what happens tonight. I'm very intrigued, but yeah, this season has been interesting. That's all I can say. It's been so, even from just the idea of someone being a single person, like just again at the moment assessing who's out there and it's just like wow. I don't think I want to talk to no one. But yeah, I'd love to know what you guys thought of this. If you did enjoy this, then please do drop me a like and subscribe. That'd be great. Thank you so much. And if you do want access to my reactions before they come to YouTube, then please do head over to my Patreon, which is a great way to help support the channel, and it's a great way to connect with me more as well. But for now, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you on the next one.